The Constitution of America. Article 2. The executive power shall be vested in a President of the United States of America. He shall hold his office during the term of 4 years. So, the office of the presidency is the office which holds the executive power for America. It is being held by one individual, whichever individual or whichever human being it is that is playing the role of President of the United States of America. The Constitution Act of Canada, 1867, Article 9. The executive government and authority of and over Canada is hereby declared to continue and be vested in the Queen. In Canada, the executive powers are invested in the Queen. That is who has the executive powers within Canada. According to the Constitution Act of Canada, 1867, Article 59 and 65, those executive powers that rested in the Queen are passed on to the Governor General and the Lieutenant Governor Generals of each province. So it reads, for each province there shall be an officer styled the Lieutenant Governor, appointed by the Governor General in Council by instrument under the Great Seal of Canada. All powers, authorities, and functions after the Union in relation to the Government of Ontario and Quebec, respectively, be vested in and shall or may be exercised by the Lieutenant Governor of Ontario and Quebec, respectively. Now, this is the same operation of law in each subsequent province. The executive powers have been transferred over into the Governor General and the Lieutenant Governor Generals of each province. Legal definition of executive power. Constitutional law. The power to see that the laws are duly executed and enforced. Under federal law, this power is vested in the President. In the states, it is vested in the governors. The President's enumerated powers are found in the U.S. Constitution. What you are seeing here, again, comes out of stock market trading, and it's describing the United States Department of State. And it says the United States Department of State in Washington, D.C. is a private company categorized under international affairs. Our records show it was established in 1789 and incorporated in the District of Columbia, a private corporation, United States. What you're looking at here is from the Governor General of Canada, their website. And it's talking about the roles and responsibilities of the Governor General. And it says that the Governor General is Canada's de facto head of state, and that the Governor General represents the Queen, who is the head of state. So it's very clear that the executive powers that are the Queen's have been passed over into the Governor General's office, and the Governor General subsequently has passed down these powers here in Canada to the Lieutenant Governor's office of each subsequent province. What you're looking at here is from Dun & Bradstreet, investment, information, trading, stock market. You're seeing here that it says the Government of Canada is traded on the stock market, and it's stating that the Government of Canada is a company. For the description given, says company name. Then it states Government of Canada. Also traded as Stephen Harper. So it's very clear that both America and Canada are considered companies, corporations, and that these corporations are executing a power that is termed or designated the executive power within the corporations. Looking into America and Canada, we find something that's called the executive powers. Executive powers. Now notice that word, or take note of it. And in America, the Constitution teaches us that the executive power, it rests with the office of the President of the United States of America. Now they state that the federal executive power rests with the office of the President of the United States. And they say that each subsequent state, they have their own constitution, and each subsequent state has a level of executive power within their own state. So we see in America one person, one entity holding the executive power, that being the office of the President. In Canada, we have the same operation of law going on. We have the executive powers that are in operation for Canada, and it is Her Majesty, the Queen of Canada, who has the executive power, the full control. She delegates, she passes off those powers to the Governor General or the Lieutenant Governor Generals of each subsequent province. So the executive powers are stemming down in America through the office of the President, then down into the state. In Canada, it's stemming from Her Majesty the Queen, and then down into the Governor Generals and into the Lieutenant Governor Generals. We look at that term, executive power. And this is a term, a title, designation, a description of a power that is in operation within a corporation, within companies. Within a company, within a corporation, you have a power structure, several levels of power structure within a company. And it's a controlling force, the executive powers of a company. That is the force that controls down the line. Now, for example, when we look into a corporation, we're going to find a president of that corporation. And that president will have executive powers. He will have duties and responsibilities as playing that role or president in the company. And those duties and responsibilities are attached to his office. That's an executive power. Now, most of the time, a vice president, same way. A vice president of the company, he has duties, he has obligations, he's playing a role, and in that role that he plays, there's duties, executive power being displayed. Now it goes on down the line, and as you get lower down the line, this power becomes weaker. For example, once we get to the workers, these are no longer human beings or individuals that have executive power, but they must follow executive power. So we take a janitor, for example. A janitor could not go, or a janitor does not have the same duties and obligations attached to his role as a president would, or as a vice president would. And the powers that are attached to these roles are the executive powers. And these are the powers that control the ones down here. And in Canada, the executive powers remain with the Lieutenant Governor Generals and Governor Generals. And in America, the executive power is on the federal level is with the office of the United States President of America. United States of America and Canada are both structured like corporations, like companies. That is why when we look at what type of powers are in operation, we find that there are executive powers in operation. Now, they are structured like a corporation, and we, the individuals, we have been incorporated into this structure, into this corporation. How? Through our persons. Through that legal person. Now that legal person within the confines of this structure is considered the worker, not part of the executive class or the executive powers. And as being that worker, that person, they are subjected to the rules and regulations of the corporation. The corporation that is called United States of America or Canada. Now, those rules and regulations of these corporations are found within the enactments, the statutes and regulations that are produced in America and in Canada. Those statutes and regulations, those laws, they apply only to the person, only to the worker, the employee. of the company. So by them rendering you or designating you, treating you as a person, they can apply those rules and regulations against you. The executive powers, the executive branch of this corporation, which we will just term the government, they try to use those rules and regulations against their employees, their persons. British Columbia Local Government Act. On the recommendation of the Minister, under subsection 2, the Lieutenant Governor in Council may, by letters patent, incorporate the residents of an area into a new municipality. It is indeed the Lieutenant Governor of the provinces that are passing these laws and are incorporating the human beings within the municipality and stripping them of their fundamental rights and freedoms. The human beings are being incorporated into the Corporation of Canada and being declared to be employees or workers, that Canadian citizen. So we need to go into these local municipal acts and bring forth this very clearly, what they are doing to us. The executive power in operation here in Canada. Not a political power, but a legislative power that is stripping us of our rights and freedoms.